Threats to Mankind Part 1 of 12. There are many potential threats to mankind, some of which include pandemics, highly infectious diseases that can rapidly spread across the globe, causing significant illness and death. Climate change, the warming of the planet due to human activities that can result in environmental disasters such as droughts, floods, and rising sea levels. Nuclear war, a catastrophic conflict between nuclear-armed countries that could result in widespread destruction, radiation poisoning, and loss of life. We will look at this today in more detail. Cyberattacks, sophisticated and targeted attacks on computer systems that can cause major disruptions to infrastructure, banking systems, and other critical services. Asteroid impact, an asteroid colliding with Earth could cause significant destruction and potentially lead to mass extinction. Artificial intelligence, the development of artificial intelligence could lead to unintended consequences if machines become more intelligent than humans and act against human interests. Biotechnology, the misuse of biotechnology, such as the creation of genetically engineered pathogens or bioterrorism, could have catastrophic consequences. Terrorism, the use of violence and intimidation in the pursuit of political or ideological goals, which can result in loss of life and damage to infrastructure. Nuclear accidents, accidents at nuclear power plants or in transportation of nuclear materials can cause widespread environmental and health damage. Global economic collapse, economic crises can lead to social unrest, political instability, and widespread suffering. Nuclear war could potentially start in a number of ways, and it's important to note that any discussion of such a scenario is purely hypothetical and should not be taken as a prediction or endorsement. Here are a few hypothetical scenarios that could lead to a nuclear war. Accidental launch, a malfunction in a nuclear-armed missile system, miscommunication, or a technical error could lead to the accidental launch of a nuclear weapon. Preemptive strike, one country may launch a preemptive strike against another country if it believes that an attack is imminent, or if it feels threatened by the other country's military capabilities. Escalation, tensions between two countries could escalate, with each side responding to the other's actions and rhetoric with increasingly aggressive military maneuvers and threats, eventually leading to a nuclear exchange. Terrorism, a terrorist group may acquire a nuclear weapon or a dirty bomb and use it to carry out an attack on a major city or military installation, potentially leading to a retaliatory strike. Cyberattacks, a sophisticated cyber attack on a nuclear-armed country's missile systems could lead to the unintentional launch of a nuclear weapon. It's important to note that the consequences of a nuclear war would be catastrophic, with millions of people killed and the long-term effects of radiation causing further suffering and environmental damage. Diplomatic efforts to prevent such a scenario are essential. The consequences of a nuclear war would be devastating and long-lasting, affecting not only the countries involved but the entire world. Here are some of the potential consequences. Immediate destruction. A nuclear explosion would cause immediate destruction of the targeted area, killing hundreds of thousands of people and causing massive physical damage. Radiation poisoning. The explosion of a nuclear weapon would release high levels of radiation into the atmosphere, leading to widespread radiation poisoning and long-term health effects for those who survive. Climate change. The detonation of a large number of nuclear weapons would cause significant environmental damage, including a nuclear winter effect that could lead to a decrease in global temperatures, crop failures, and other environmental disasters. Societal collapse. The aftermath of a nuclear war would likely lead to societal collapse, with disruptions to infrastructure, supply chains, and economic systems leading to widespread suffering and loss of life. Nuclear famine. The disruption of global food supplies caused by a nuclear war could lead to widespread famine, particularly in areas where food is already scarce. Long-term environmental damage. The release of nuclear radiation into the environment would cause long-term damage to ecosystems, including the destruction of habitats and the extinction of species. Political instability. The global political landscape would be permanently altered by a nuclear war, with long-lasting effects on international relations and the balance of power. Overall, a nuclear war would have catastrophic consequences for humanity and the planet, and it's essential that we work to prevent such a scenario from ever occurring. Preventing a nuclear war is essential for the survival and well-being of humanity. Here are some ways in which we can work towards preventing a nuclear war. Diplomacy. Diplomatic efforts are crucial in preventing a nuclear war. Countries can engage in dialogue to resolve disputes and find peaceful solutions to conflicts. Arms control. International agreements can help to limit the spread of nuclear weapons and reduce the number of existing nuclear weapons. The Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, NPT, is an example of an agreement that aims to prevent the spread of nuclear weapons. Early warning systems. Early warning systems can detect and alert countries to potential nuclear threats, allowing for quick action to prevent a nuclear war. Confidence-building measures. Confidence-building measures, such as the exchange of information and visits between military personnel, can help to reduce tensions and build trust between countries. Cybersecurity. Cybersecurity measures can help to prevent the hacking of nuclear weapons systems and prevent accidental launches. Education and awareness. Education and awareness campaigns can help to inform the public about the dangers of nuclear weapons and the importance of preventing a nuclear war. Disarmament. Countries can work towards the complete elimination of nuclear weapons. This would require a concerted effort by all countries to negotiate and agree on disarmament measures. Overall, preventing a nuclear war requires a multifaceted approach that involves diplomacy, international agreements, early warning systems, cybersecurity, education, and disarmament. By working together, we can reduce the risk of a nuclear war and ensure a safer world for future generations. According to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, SIPRI, as of January 2022, there are an estimated 13,080 nuclear weapons in the world, held by 9 countries: the United States, Russia, China, France, the United Kingdom, Pakistan, India, Israel, and North Korea. The development of nuclear weapons was a collaborative effort that involved many scientists and engineers from different countries over several decades. However, the first nuclear weapons were developed by the United States during World War II as part of the Manhattan Project, a top-secret research and development program that was launched in 1939 in response to fears that Nazi Germany was working on a nuclear weapon. The Manhattan Project was led by a group of scientists that included J. Robert Oppenheimer, Enrico Fermi, and Edward Teller, among others. The project involved the construction of several research facilities and nuclear reactors, including the famous Los Alamos Laboratory in New Mexico. The Manhattan Project culminated in the successful test of the first nuclear weapon on July 16, 1945, in Alamogordo, New Mexico. This test led to the deployment of the first atomic bombs, which were dropped on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945, resulting in the deaths of tens of thousands of people and bringing an end to World War II. Since then, several other countries, including the Soviet Union, China, France, the United Kingdom, India, Pakistan, Israel, and North Korea, have developed and tested nuclear weapons. There are 2 main types of nuclear weapons. Fission weapons, also known as atomic bombs. Fission weapons use a process called nuclear fission to release energy. They work by splitting the nucleus of an atom into 2 smaller nuclei, releasing a large amount of energy in the process. Fusion weapons, also known as hydrogen bombs. Fusion weapons use a process called nuclear fusion to release energy. They work by fusing the nuclei of 2 hydrogen atoms to form a helium nucleus, releasing a much larger amount of energy than fission weapons. Both types of nuclear weapons can be delivered by air, land, or sea-based systems such as missiles, aircraft, and submarines. The destructive power of these weapons is immense, and their use would have catastrophic consequences for humanity and the environment. MAD stands for Mutual Assured Destruction, a doctrine that emerged during the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union. The doctrine is based on the belief that if both sides possess enough nuclear weapons to destroy each other's countries completely, neither side would be willing to launch a nuclear attack for fear of retaliation. Under MAD, each side maintains a second strike capability, which means that even if one side launches a nuclear attack and destroys the other's nuclear forces, the other side still has enough nuclear weapons left to launch a devastating counterattack. This creates a situation where both sides are deterred from launching a nuclear attack, as the consequences of doing so would be catastrophic for both sides. The MAD doctrine is controversial and has been criticized for creating a dangerous nuclear arms race and promoting a policy of deterrence through the threat of mass destruction. However, It is still considered to be a key element of nuclear deterrence and the prevention of a nuclear war between major powers. Nobody wins.